Good.
Highly recommend that you get out and you meet other podcasters, because really by its nature, podcasting is um, quite a solo pursuit, really. If you think about it, a lot of us just spend the time sat in the spare room, in the cellar, in the loft, in the wardrobe
In the
sometimes, or
sauna.
a little corner of an office, yeah, in the sauna, and just recording. And particularly those moments when things aren't going right, or you get stuck, or you get frustrated, it can be yeah, it can be particularly tough. And sometimes it's just really nice to go out and meet people face to face and just hear that they've had that
Yeah.
same trouble, you know. And sometimes you get a solution. Sometimes it's just a little bit of solidarity. And but as I say, like, I really recommend looking out for this. And if nothing else, it just gives you other ideas. It gives you an idea. It gives you a sort of a sense of where you're at, and that you're not just the only person that's trying to do that. And
Mm.
I think it can really give you a boost. So if you're struggling with what you're doing, if you've maybe hit a wall, even if you're not the most social person, just go along, just sit down, just listen, just get involved.
Yeah, and we've been doing that in more ways than one, haven't we, recently? So we've been on quite a few other podcasts as well, which has been similar in the same affirmation, but just digitally. And I personally was on Chado's Founded by 30 last week, and Natalie's Hot Content podcast the week before, and we've seen huge benefits just from that. The amount of comments and engagements we've had from people that weren't in our networks beforehand. So it's a really nice way of getting you as a person, as a presenter, or your podcast out there
Well, I think
as
as well,
well.
when you look at it, one of the questions that comes up time and time again in the group is, how do I grow my audience? How do I get more listeners? How do I get more engagement? And what we're all guilty of is, you know, to quote the famous Einstein quote, if you keep doing the same thing that you've always done, you're only going to get the same results. And so what a lot of us are guilty of is just constantly promoting our podcast to our same circle of friends on Facebook, on Twitter. And if that's not growing, you're just oversaturating the audience. And so it's to reach out and to just, even if you're just on somebody's show very briefly, you're just having a little peek into what they do, and their audience is getting a little peek into what you do. And let's be honest, it depends on what the show is what you're doing and the show that you're on, and there may not always be a direct match. So, for example, if you do your Harry Potter scarf on, and I'm doing my exhausts for a sports cars podcast, there's not necessarily a crossover, but there will be some people that enjoy both, and there'll also be some people that kind of go, you know what, it's not my thing, but I found that guy really funny or really interesting, or his backstory, and so that's what I'm going to go for there. The question just popped up there a little earlier was, how do you invite yourselves onto other podcasts?
Yeah, so I would say it's not about sort of inviting yourself on, but if you find a list of people that have got podcasts similar, or audiences similar, and just connect with them. I always say, people are trying to get interviews on their podcast, don't just connect. Like, there's nothing worse, right? And you'll probably agree with me, than getting a message 10 seconds after someone's followed you saying, can I be on your podcast, or can you post this blog on my thing? So it's not about doing that straight away.
Yeah.
I felt awful because we've been trying to get people for a speaking panel for podcasting this week, and I followed one of the speakers on every other social media account out there except Instagram, and then I had to contact them via Instagram because I followed someone 2 seconds before I then had to message them, and I didn't get a response back. So I would go on and build some rapport with them, chat with them, and then say, look, we're both doing similar things, we've got similar audiences, we jump on each other's podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, we get this a lot. We get emails all the time, and they're just very generic emails that come out. And it's like, we had one recently just kind of go, oh, I can't remember the particular Twitter handle, but it was one of these ones that recommended which podcasts to listen to. And it recommended at Abrupt Audio, which is our company, which isn't a podcast. And so you responded back and you said, oh, brilliant. Which shows did you listen to? Because we produce, well, I mean, in-house we do 6 or 7, and then obviously we produce branded podcasts for other people as well. So there's a huge stable of shows. And they responded by saying all of them. And so straight away we knew, like, you haven't listened at all. But on the flip side, we had an email, a generic kind of email that came through a couple of weeks ago, which was wanting us to do a feature on a movie. And we kind of, again, responded to that. It's always worth responding to these, because we responded to it and said, well, look, which which particular show did you want it to go on? Because really, we would think it would only be this one. We got into a dialogue, and there's a potential of us working on some very exciting projects in the future based on that. So even when you get these sort of generic emails that come out, you can link through. I just want to pull you up on something you said there. You said about, you know, find a list of podcasters. Where can we find these lists of podcasters? It sounds like something that Tom Cruise would have on a hard drive that he's pulled off from some kind of FBI server.
I mean more of podcasts. I didn't mean podcasters. So I'm sure that you'll be aware of other podcasts doing similar things. If you're not, just go and look for them in iTunes, Apple Podcasts and things. Then you'll know what your competition's like, or what people that... how good's my English today? All the sorts of people that you could then go and collaborate with. I don't think there's any real competition in podcasting, but there is people that you can collaborate with. And it's amazing how... you can collaborate with people doing almost the same stuff as you, even if it's in a business sense. They're aiming at the same people as you. There's nothing stopping you from collaborating with them. And there's a really good example of the two guys that we work with. And they're up in Newcastle in the UK, and there's almost like a Midlands version of them. They're a duo. They do exactly the same thing. They're looking for the same clients, and they collaborated together in the most fun, amazing way on YouTube. And it has turned out amazing for both of them, rather than the idea of competing and not being very nice to each other because they might steal each other's money or whatever in terms of customers. And I think that applies to podcasting as well. You're not going to steal each other's listeners. If anything, if someone absolutely loves football or absolutely loves Harry Potter scarves, they're going to listen to more than one podcast on it. You still there, dude?
Sorry, I'm back. Yeah, I just had to switch off the notifications. I think the thing to remember as well is, like, just hashtags is a really great way to reach out and find things. Like, you can follow hashtags on Instagram now, which is a really good way. So I'm following hashtag podcast, hashtag podcasting, hashtag podcasters. It just opens me to new stuff all the time. And then you can combine that with other stuff. And it actually, you'll find a lot of people that are doing it are very keen to promote themselves, because everybody wants to do the same thing. And I think as well to remember, like, people often think, like, in other businesses there's a lot of competition and you don't necessarily want to work directly with the competition. But I think where we're at in where podcasting is at the minute, there is some competition, but really, if you think about it, we're still a new emerging media, and really what we want to be doing is growing together. So if you're even if the show's very similar to you, or you think that they're a threat to you in terms of they might steal some of your audience, still get involved with them, because actually, if you learn a lot from that interaction with them, if you learn that, so what if some of your listeners go over and migrate to them? A lot of them may end up listening to both shows, and ultimately as well, you can, unless you're literally doing exactly the same format, exactly the same subject, you're in exactly the same area, like geographically, and you're in exactly the same business, then maybe I would kind of go, okay, maybe and even in that case, I would say, well, maybe just work together then. Maybe do, like, instead of just doing a guest spot, maybe you combine your resources and go, look, let's do this, even if it's just like we take it in turns to do the show. There's all sorts of options there, but I think the upshot of what we've been through this week is really reinforced the idea of just making connections with people.
And it was nice for you as well, because you've made connections with people via the PODTIPS group that this is for, and then went to the meetup, and there were people in there that didn't necessarily know you by name or by face or by beard, but they knew that you were from the group, and there was a nice connection there.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit like a line from Anchorman, by the beard of PODTIPS. Yeah, so you might have seen a post just last week from Dom, who does the Walking in Wandsworth podcast, and he'd been featured on BBC London. And I mean, just to clarify that for some people, as I say, the group is not about self-promotion in any way, but it's about successes. So if you've got a success like that, we'll share that, and gladly. But it's about sharing the issues that you encounter when you need help, and also when you find solutions. And so there's a little element of, like, if you've hit a brick wall, you found a bit of a fail, share that with the group and we'll help. But if you've got a success, please share that, and obviously that's what Dom had done, and spotted Dom in the room. And then Issa, who works really hard at his show and does a YouTube thing with it as well. I was like, oh yeah, man, PODTIPS. And it was just nice to get that connection with people in the room.
Well, I had a message yesterday from a guy called Issa who normally watches these. He was
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
yeah,
amazed! I met Ant. He's a lovely guy." I was like, "Then you didn't meet Ant.
yeah.
You met the wrong guy." No, but it was nice to have those connections, and it was nice for him to message me to say he'd met you as well, which was really quite a nice little bit there.
Talking behind my back, I'm not sure how I feel about
So you mentioned about hashtags there, and actually that's a really good lead into a couple of things that have changed this week. So I'll start with the nice one and then go to the nasty one, shall I?
that. Okay, yeah.
So the nice one is that Instagram have changed bios. So you can now put hashtags and mentions in your bio, which has been something that's been on Twitter for a while, and you see people just spamming it and it doesn't make all that much difference. But with is he trying it now? You have to update the Instagram app, which you probably haven't done since 1997. So, but the difference it makes on Instagram is, as Ant was saying earlier, you can follow hashtags. So if you're putting a hashtag in your bio for hashtag podcasting or hashtag comedy or hashtag Batman or whatever, then you're likely to come up on people's subscribes to those hashtags, as opposed to them having to know you or connect or just put a hashtag in one of your pictures. So that's really, really useful. They also launched, I mean, this is less useful for podcasters, but they also launched the Instagram shop this week in the UK. So you're going to see pictures of clothing, and you could click the top and buy it directly from Instagram. So if you are using your podcast to sell, it might be worth looking at that. It's been in the US and Australia for a while. It's in the UK as well now. So that's quite cool.
Do you think it's better to have podcasting or podcast in my in my profile on Instagram? They just go for the one that's got the most followers. I find it.
I think.
Oh.
I think I've got podcaster, but there we go. Use the keyword search thing on Instagram to tell you how many hashtag posts have been used with it. That was the nice thing that happened in social media this week. There was a kind of crappy thing that happened this week. It kind of is and it kind of isn't. So we've been seeing Twitter used for spam for a long time. And you know that there's bot accounts there. You know that if someone adds you and it's still got a picture of that Twitter egg thing that came up when you start an account, it's probably a bot. When people have got like 30,000 followers and they've only done 3 tweets, probably a bot. So Twitter made changes this week to try and help with those problems. However, it's going to cause us a load more work because they've killed recycled posts from today.
Yeah.
From today.
Now, the thing is, just let me throw this out there. You say this is a bad thing. I think this is a good thing. I really do, because I get a lot of... we were just talking about podcasts and working on other podcasts and being on podcasts with other people. Now, I was on a podcast 6 months ago as a guest, and obviously using one of the, like Edgar or one of those other apps, the guy that's on the podcast has set it up, and so this post to recycle, and they say that it's often they're looking at 20-minute life length for a tweet, and so he has it scheduled so that it'll pop up almost probably every day at a different time slot, and this has been going on for about 6 months. And it's nice to get the notification for me, and people are talking about me, tweeting me. But when it's exactly the same post, exactly the same wording for exactly the same show, I'm like, I'm not even doing anything here, but people are going to get bored of me because of what somebody else has just pre-programmed. So for me, hallelujah.
Yeah, so there are 2 sides to this. So just to backtrack a little bit, the rules that they've said are you can't post the same tweet to multiple accounts. So if you had an account for your podcast and an account for you, the tweet can't be the same. The other rule is you can't post the same tweet more than once ever now on one account. So you can post the same picture, you can post the same link to your blog or podcast, but you cannot put the same wording in the tweet, and it has to be quote unquote significantly different. And so this will be a really, really good thing. I mean, we took away, so these are social tools like you said, Meet Edgar, Recur Post, Schedule Once, Hootsuite, have been selling their products based on this. However, it hasn't been, well, they've been selling it on, but now this is going to be removed. They've had to change it. So they have changed their tools so that you can now write, most of them have changed it so you can write 5 different versions of tweets to attach to a link or a picture, which is a better way of doing it. The worry that we're having as marketers for podcasts or anything else, we changed it. We took our Facebook out of those tools a while ago, and it was the best thing we've ever done, because now we create like 1 or 2 posts a day that we think about. They're engaging. We're getting conversations on them, which is amazing. The thing that people are worried about with Twitter is that it's not the same algorithm in Facebook, and you do have sort of a 20-minute lifeline. And so in order to be able to keep up to date several times a day, to be able to hit the different time zones, to be able to hit enough people just because it only lasts for 20 minutes, would be a lot of work to do it all manually. However, again, they're saying that Twitter's going to move to a more of an engagement-based model. So if you're creating tweets that people are commenting on, it's going to keep jumping back up. So it is going to be a really, really good thing. But for the time being, one, you need to stop those recycling tweets today. Dare I say it, and make it bad news, but it does need to be today. And two, you're just going to have to spend a little bit more time on Twitter and to keep those engagements and conversations up. But as you say, for the platform and for us as Twitter users rather than promoters, I think it's a really good thing.
When you say you need to stop today, I kind of get the feeling that it doesn't matter whether you need to or not. It's just going to happen. It's just going to be taken away.
Well, they haven't removed the ability for you to do it. So much like auto DMs, you can still do them, but because of third-party apps. But I think there's going to be sort of a 3-strike system or 1-strike system or something. They've warned that they will take away your account.
Wow. So
yeah,
just actually remove your account.
Yeah, and I don't think it will be the first time, but I would say it's going to be a big slap on the wrist, maybe like a ban for a while, and then if you're a repeat offender, then they'll just take away your account, which we don't want to do, because we've taken, like our subscribers, it's the same for followers on Twitter. So
well, as we've learned in the past, sometimes actually getting a slap on the wrist from a big company can open doors that you didn't see before, or just open you to new ideas. So that's a really important thing to have there, especially if you're not sort of you're busy, you're looking at the other things, and you get these notifications and you're not reading them. That could, having your social media account taken down could be massive.
Yeah, it would be a pain in the ass. Couple of hellos before we move on. Lisa, hi. Lisa was on the top 25 podcasts to listen to this month blog, along with us, with her big travel podcast. So well done to Lisa. She said she was about to quit work and head for lunch, but she's good. We've persuaded her to stay in. So that's nice.
There we go.
Lloyd and Becca say hello. Matthew Mark Stone from the Delivery Podcast says thanks for all your help this week, guys. That's really nice of him. Alex said it's okay, we don't need Ant when we're having technical problems. But I know he's a massive fan of your podcast, so that's fine. Bob said hello. Becca Bell said hello. And we've had questions in. I'm not ignoring the questions that have come in. I am just going to do those right at the end.
Okay.
Lisa's still here. Hello, Lisa. Matthew Moore said, howdy, gents. I've lost the other comments. I'm just trying to find them now.
So let's talk about like some of the posts that we've seen in the group this week. And you just mentioned Alex there. And I'm sure he won't mind me talking about this because he shared it with the group anyway. And Alex was talking about like how he was really struggling. He was putting so much effort into the podcast and it wasn't growing the way that he wanted it to be. And he wasn't seeing, and I'm not sure what Alex's figures are. He hasn't shared that with me, so I can't expand on that. But he was obviously feeling a little bit frustrated, and we all get that. And what I really liked about that was his honesty in that, in actually in sharing that and shining a light on the fact that we all struggle with these things sometimes. It's different things for different people. But so the bravery of doing that, but also what I really liked was the response from the group. And by the time I'd sort of, seen the feed that day, there'd already been 5 or 6 different responses from people that were engaging with him, sharing their experiences, offering ideas, or just, showing a little bit of solidarity and kind of going, yeah, it's tough. But I just wanted to sort of reiterate something that I said to him, which was about how, we can get very hung up on the figures, the statistics of how many people are listening. But actually, when you think about it, it's like, what do those statistics actually mean? It's almost like a false economy, So it's like, what is the value of those? Like, you could have 10,000 people listening to your podcast. But then you have to do something with that. It doesn't actually mean anything on its own. In the same way that having 1 million followers on Twitter doesn't actually really mean anything, because unless you can actually motivate those people to do something to drive them, you know, but you don't know how many of those people follow you because they love you and like what you do, or how many of those people follow you because they're bots, or how many of those people follow you because they hate you so much they just like to have that little bit of something to get them going when they head for the gym. So my advice was very much to focus on the people that you've got, because if you start changing to bring more people in, you'll move away from what you've got. So even if you've got 50 or 100 listeners to your show, if you think about that, 100 people are more than most people will have at their wedding. Anybody that ever done music and been in a band, a lot of bands will do gigs to less than 100 people for a long time. And so if you could have that sort of every time you did your stand-up comedy gig, you did your presentations, whatever, if you had 100 people turn up and see that, wow, that's something. And so I'd focus on that connection that you've got with those people that are there, because they are your avatars, if you want to use a buzzword. They're the people that are really into what you're doing. And focus on that connection relationship with them. Give them more of what they want. And actually what will happen is they're the people that are flying the flag for you, and they're the people that are more likely to go out and organically get other people to come and listen to you. And we all know that you're more likely to go into something because somebody's recommended it to you, rather than because you've seen an advert or you've seen something reposted. Yeah,
absolutely.
So anyway, so Alex, keep at it, keep doing what you're doing.
Alex has just said, you guys are awesome. Just goes to show that even the most chilled out folk gets frustrated sometimes. Thank everyone for their great comments, which is really nice.
Yeah.
A couple of other comments. Amanda said, nice to have faces on you too. Does she mean nice to see our faces? Because I don't think anyone's ever said that.
I think it's a lot nicer than us not having faces. That would just be some kind of weird horror sort of thing, like in the Matrix when he removes the guy's mouth.
Oh yeah, or Face Off, when Nicolas Cage wakes up without a face on.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Nice.
So we're going to take
lovely
the
image.
from...
If you're having your lunch right now, that's a lovely image to have.
Yeah, nice one, Lisa. So a couple of questions then. First one is probably my favourite one that's come in today. Matthew Moore says, afternoon, gents. Gotta love technology, eh? Yep, we've had fun with that already. Question though, if you could jump into a pool of anything, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Pool of anything.
I would love for it to be like Scrooge McDuck, where you dive into a pool of money, but we've already seen with the Family Guy representation that would just kill anyone.
But the thing is, like, I have a real question on that. It's like, surely, like, I would just have a pool of notes. But even that, actually, if you think about it, unless they were scrumpled and thrown in, that's going to be quite a hard impact when you hit that.
And it'd be a load of paper cuts. You'd just come out like shredded face.
I would have to say, although I'm not sure exactly how I would go about it, being vegan now, but a pool of jelly, just to kind of like, would I bounce? Would I sink? Would I drown? Could I eat my way out if I was drowning? I just to answer the questions as a purely experimental pushing forward. Not exactly the biggest podcast question we've had, but there's the answer.
It was fun. Right, so John Mooney says he'll watch later, but in your opinion, what's the optimum number of people to be on a conversational podcast?
That's a very good question. So the first thing to remember is there's no rules, there's no limits, there's nothing else going on. But if it's purely a podcast and not a YouTube channel, and even if you're doing a YouTube channel that you're recasting as a podcast, think about the fact that the podcast is one-dimensional. Now, that's not disrespectful for what you do, but it's purely in audio. So if you're doing the podcast, and what works with us when we do PODTIPS is we have different voices, we have different accents, we come from different parts with different backgrounds, so our voices are quite distinct, I would hope.
Yeah.
So that's fine, and two voices, the conversation goes back and forth, you can follow that. If you have, as a lot of people do, they podcast with their friends because they've got that chemistry. Your friends maybe are from the same background as you. The more of those that you add in, and if you're all of the same gender, you're all the same background, although you can very easily tell the difference and instantly recognize them, somebody who's not from that area, who doesn't know you very well, may struggle to differentiate between those different voices. So in theory, if your voices and styles of talking, your candor, your speed, all these things, and your sense of humor, your moods, all those things are very, very different. In theory, you could have 6, 7, 10 different voices. But the more alike you sound, I would suggest, purely from the listening point of view, to sort of reduce that number. Unless the other way around it is have very distinct characters. So, like we have here, I'm obviously the intelligent, knowledgeable, charming one, and you're the man that lives in a sauna.
There are so many sauna-based comments below. One of the things to bear in mind is that it takes a lot of training for radio presenters to get used to not talking over each other. And I know that with podcasting you can edit it and it's not live, but there still needs to be a certain element of that. Otherwise, no one's ever going to finish a sentence or a conversation.
Yeah, and so
every time someone starts talking, Chris could talk over.
You're doing it now again. So a little tip here for you, actually. So you can actually see it working with us now. We're obviously working on video here, so we can see each other. A lot of the time when you're going to be recording with co-hosts, you'll be in the same room or using something like Skype or Zoom, which we are working on a special with John Mooney. He's doing a lot of hard work on that for us. So to talk about which is the best one to work on. So when you can actually see someone, use some verbal cues. Non-verbal cues. So even like go back to school and that thing where you put your hand up like miss. It's that I've got a point. I've got something that I want to say, and learn and kind of go into it. And what John does, John works on a couple of different podcasts, and what I really like about how he does the Rookery End, which is a Watford Football Club podcast, they are almost like assigned roles in how it works. And so they're all fans, they all love the football, they all go and see the game. And what happens after the game is John kind of hosts the discussion between the three of them, and he has I can't remember the names now. One is very emotional and passionate, and the other is very sort of clinical and tactical. So he'll literally come out of the games and almost kind of go, how do you feel, to the first guy, let him talk, let it get it all out, and then he'll go to the other guy and say, where did it go wrong? Now, as a listener, you're getting everything that you want, but it's very controlled and packaged. Now, there's still, because emotion overruns and the way people interact and talk, there aren't these set boundaries. But if you've got that kind of structure there, it's all right if you have a little bit of a bleed in between. The problem is when you go to having 4, 5, 6, 7 different presenters, is defining those roles. Now, I don't want to get into it, but there are different things. If you look at a lot of films, there's only 7 or 8 characters maximum, whether it's Star Wars or whether it's westerns, and it's because that's, in many ways, that's seen as the optimum number for that. But obviously, you've got a lot of other information coming in from there. It can be done. Just because most shows that you hear with 2 people talking doesn't mean that that's the right way to do it or the best way to do it. Try it. That's my advice for you, is try it. But also, when you try it, listen to the feedback that you get. And if people say to you, I don't know who's who, then take that on board and listen more to the comments that come from the people that don't know you. However, having said that, it's often the people that you don't know that are more likely to troll you. So have some kind of a shield up.
In the interest of time, I'll rattle through a couple more questions. Jackie says, do you have recommendations for promoting your Alexa channel with your podcast on?
Oh, okay.
So, this is a fairly new one.
Yeah, the first thing to do is advertise it to the people that you've already got. And so just encourage them to set it up as an Alexa skill. Now, it is a fairly new one, and some of the figures that we've seen suggest that you've got a very small audience that are currently digesting podcasts through Alexa. And part of that is because it's a little complicated to do. So first of all, you need to make your podcast available as a skill, and then the person that listens has to have a voice-operated device like a Google Home or an Amazon Echo. And then it's not just about having that. They then have to set up with their apps on their phone. They have to program their skills that they want in it, which basically means that in the morning, instead of going, Alexa, what's the weather? Alexa, what's the traffic on my route to work? Alexa, play my favourite song. Alexa, play my podcast. Alexa, set an alarm. They would just go, Alexa, play my morning briefing, and it will do those 5 or 6 different things that you want it to do, including your favourite podcast.
Now, adding your skill into that was fairly difficult. So we created a video showing how to do it. It's just changed. So you can actually now add things to your skill, add a channel or listen all by voice. So you don't even need to go into the app. So you can say, add to my flash briefing. It will say, what would you like to add? And you say, PODTIPS. And it'll add that into your flash briefing. So that's really cool.
What's that? That sounds good.
That's our daily flash briefing skill, podcasting tip 1 minute every day. But
wow.
not to promote. But the way that we saw our numbers go up was when that happened, we created another video. And I think video is the way to do it because it's visual and people want to see how to do something. So we created another little video of me just with an Alexa showing how to add your show, how to listen to your channel. And I think that's the best way to do it at this point. We also ran a little poll on Facebook. Have you got an Alexa device? Yes or no? And then you had a capture of a load of people who had an Alexa device. You could just send them a message saying, so I think they're the best ways to promote it at the moment. Have you just walked into an arcade?
No, it just I'm here at the moment. I'm at Google Campus in London, and it's Burger Friday. So they've just got set up a little barbecue outside, and everyone's turned up because they're about to start doing the burgers.
Oh wow!
So yeah,
there you go. If you
would you like one?
Campus, put yourself down. A couple of extra questions. I know we're running well over on time. So thanks for that question, Jackie. Hi, Matt. Thanks for joining. Matt said, Chris, what is the best podcast you've ever listened to? Mine, I think, is my favourite one was one of the ones that I started this business based on. That was Startup Podcast by Gizmo. I won't go into detail if you want to check it out too. What's your favourite podcast ever?
Well, to answer in a similar way to you, the podcast that I heard that made me go, I want to do this, was Radiolab by NPR. And just the way that that's done and the work that's... And I think the motivation for me was I want to be that good. Equally, one of my favourites of the last 12 months has to be Everyone Else, which is a London-based podcast, which is an interview podcast. And it's just the style of it, the production of it, it's just wonderful. And it profiles ordinary people, and there's the potential for that to go worldwide. And it's a very niche podcast because it's a photographic podcast. But again, I love the fact that it's doing something so different, which shows you what you can do with the medium.
Yeah. Cool. I love that podcast too. I still listen to it every time it comes out. Questions that came in from the group earlier that people commented. Amanda, I know you're watching. She said, any suggestions for fun games that will make people come back? That's fairly specific. So just drop us a message and we'll have a little run through of things that might be relevant for your audience.
Yeah,
it's not just in general. It's got to be for your podcast.
Yeah, I would just say as well, like the fun games to come back. Great idea, love it, nothing wrong with it. However, why are you asking that question? Why do you want to introduce the game? And I would dare say you want to do that because you've heard that done on another show, on a radio show, or seen it on a TV show. Fine. Obviously it works for them, could very well work for you. But it's a different medium. You don't have to do it the same way. You don't have to. So don't just add things on because you think it will do that. Bear in mind, this podcasting is a very personal thing. It's something that you want to do. And so make sure it's something. If you want to do the game, you think of a great idea, go for it, go for it. I'm 100% behind you. However, if you're just doing it to bring other people in, it will turn into one of those jobs that you've had that you hate, as you go down the line, because you're just doing it for that, and it will depress you when you don't get the results. Whereas if you're doing it because you love doing it, you won't mind that you maybe don't bring more people back, you're just enjoying it.
Completely agree. It's specific to her podcast and her audience. So Amanda, when you catch this, do drop us a message and we can give you a hand, making sure it fits in. Heather said, this will be a good one. I'm wanting a very portable system for podcasting out on location. I don't want to take a computer. Please name everything, including if you use earphones. So I know what your answer is going to be, but I'll let you know.
Here's one I prepared earlier. So I was actually... I was actually resting the phone on while I did that. So this is, I've had a couple of different bits
Zoom.
of kit, and yeah, this is a Zoom H6, and this is my all-time favorite thing so far in terms of flexibility, in terms of audio quality. It looks like this. Now, this is going to cost you brand new about £300, which is a big investment. Now, this has got 4 channels, so you can plug 4 XLR mics in. Then you've got these little bits that you can put on, so you pop that on, and you've got a microphone. You've got another one for recording, like cross-directional, so you can record gigs, live events better. You can also plug it in straight into a sound source and record. You can also use it as an interface, a sound card to your PC. So you can use your traditional microphone going into that. I also use it when I'm on the road for doing voiceovers. Anybody that follows me on Twitter would see that recently I recorded a voiceover in a hotel bathroom with a duvet over my head, just using that. My agent was more than happy, had no idea I was on the road, and the client loved what I did. Now that is at the minute, that is the top end version. When you record multiple channels on that, it records each microphone on different channels. So it's brilliant for that. There are earlier models which only have the 2 channels for the XLRs, but they're probably fine for what most people need. And so the H4 is very popular, but you can go way back to the H1, which is almost similar to a
like a little recorder, isn't
dictaphone.
it?
It's a little dictaphone, yeah. And so that's pocket sized. I mean, I keep this in the case obviously because it's worth a lot of money and I want it to be protected. But the other ones are smaller than your phone. They've got great battery life, record onto an SD card, easy to copy across and upload, and you can actually do everything just on that. That's the Tascam there, which the DR100.
It's a very similar size to the H4 as well, isn't it? But that's a Tascam. Again, it's very similar that it's got the microphones on the top and it's got 2 XLR ports down here. Any kind of handy recorder like that would be amazing. Zoom are the best in the industry. And as for, she said, mention everything earphones. We generally just plug a splitter and some Apple headphones in, or just whatever headphones we've got handy. Really, it's not that important. The earphones.
And actually, what you'll find as well, like the microphone that you've got on here is pretty good as well. I sometimes use this as a backup. Sometimes when I'm interviewing somebody, you'll find that some people will pull back away from a microphone. So what you can actually do is you can, they pull back because they're a little shy, or they'll come too close to it. It's always good to have this as a backup, and what you can do is almost use it as a lavalier mic and pop that on their shoulder. They'll forget that it's there, or clip it into their pocket. But again, you can do everything just with a phone. This is one of the... Oh, we can't say yet, can we? we had some
we're not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll be next week, because I've just had an email, so I'm sure we'll be able to say that next week.
So we've been invited to do one of our talks somewhere. And one of our talks that we do is about how you can do everything just on your smartphone. And literally, we mean everything. And we started this off in a different way. We've developed it. And so the idea is that you can do the recording, you can do the editing, you do the uploading, you do the photo, you do the music, all just on your phone, and actually produce something of a decent quality. And, I suppose one of our core values as a company is about removing the barriers to podcasting, and so this is perfect for us. There's a lot of things that you will go out and you'll go find, and people will tell you, you need to have this, you need to have that, and they're right. These bits of equipment are great and they're good, but a lot of things are overkill. For what you need to do, you just need to get started, and as you get further down the line and go, actually, this is something I'm really into, then invest the money. Build the studio at home, all those different things.
Okay, one final question. Well, there are 2 questions, but they sort of amalgamate into one. So someone's looking for a writer for an audio drama, and someone else is looking for a third host. Where do they go to find these people? And I think it's the same as the answer we give to a lot of the questions is go and find where they'll be. So if your podcast is about superheroes and that sort of thing, then go to the communities and find people as passionate about you as you are. And it's the same with finding a writer, I think.
Yeah, Meetup's very good for stuff like that because there will be something happening near you, even if you've got to take a train for half an hour, 45 minutes away. Go to these places, and actually, because it's so much nicer when you can meet the person face to face and get a feel for them, rather than just over email or those kinds of things. Sometimes they work, especially when you're talking about a third presenter, and that's something that's. It takes a while to develop, and before you make that decision, try it out with the other presenter you've already got as well. Get them in, do a couple of trial runs. You know, you want something that feels natural, that doesn't feel forced, and get to know the person. You know, go out and have dinner with them, have a drink with them, socialize with them, as well as doing work before you go down that. Because what you're basically doing is you're hiring a new colleague, or promoting a new friend. That's kind of what you're doing.
Yeah. Brilliant advice. Okay, cool. Well, that we've massively run over. I'm sorry, everyone, that we had the tech problems with this morning. Most of those people are probably bored and gone by now, though, so forget them. Thanks to Jade, who's just joined. You can watch this back. It will be on here just a few minutes' time when it uploads, and it'll be on our YouTube channel and on abruptaudio.com as well. Go and join the PODTIPS group this is from.
Yeah. Anybody that's been in today, had a question, wants some more information on that question, you can actually book in a one-to-one with us as well. Well, I think we haven't done the full crossover to the 10 minutes yet, have we?
No, we were going to change something a little bit different to that, but yes.
So, yeah. All right. So for today, you can still have the 15 minutes, the extra 5 minutes, but you can get that for free. We'll use Calendly, so rather than firing emails back and forth saying, "Can you do Thursday?" Well, I can do Wednesday. You can actually see when we're available. You book it in. Very soon that's going to change, so you actually have to pay £1 for the privilege, but now it's still free, and you'll get the 15 minutes. And we can go in depth about whatever level you're at, whether you've just got an idea and you can complete beginner, or whether you've been doing it for 10 years and you've got a particular technical point. And for that 10 minutes, you can ask us whatever you want, and we'll give you everything that we've got.
Excellent. And as we say, podtips.net for the group. And there's only one thing left to do, really, is do our freeze frame. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And I'm going to just press this freeze frame. Hang on, I can't end it. Won't go away.
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to do this and not put your face.